broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello there, Daredevil fans. Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's after show for Daredevil. We're talking about episode 10. Are you guys ready to talk some Daredevil?
Yeah.
Are you ready to talk some Daredevil?
I was like way up here.
I love it. This is a depressing episode.
This is kind of depressing.
Oh, I love this. That we have the it's going on in the back.
Oh, that's even cooler.
City in Blood.
Very exciting. All right, guys. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't done so already, go to youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV or iTunes or SoundCloud, wherever you are, and subscribe to this and all the shows here at AfterBuzz. Now let me introduce my fantastic panel here tonight. We're all here this week. Mark Donica.
Hi, Zach. Missed you last week. Missed both of y'all last week. It was fun, but it was rough. You should handle the hosting. You can follow me on Twitter at SoapboxMark, and make sure to use ABTV Daredevil to follow us, as well as during the live chat and when you're not watching live. I'll look at it.
Across the table, Jesse Klein.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm happy to be back. I'm sorry, I had a hot date last Wednesday.
Whatever you've got to tell yourself.
That's where Claire's been.
It was a rehearsal. And you can find me at Jess Klein 1. That's JESSKLEIN, the number 1.
Hi,
And
guys.
Jamie Elias is here.
How's it going? My name is Jamie. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Jamie, Jamie, Elias, ELIAS. Or, I'm sorry, there's an S in the middle of that somewhere. So Jamie
Yeah, it's at the end.
It's on the
Elias.
screen below you.
Just
it's
look
fine.
down here,
It's
y'all.
fine.
I
But
can't.
either way, let's jump into this episode.
Good idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where we left off from episode 9 was that Foggy found out.
Yeah.
Basically,
He did.
and then we launch it, and that's basically the big plot through line for this episode. Is it's very, I love that it was very self-contained.
Yeah.
For Foggy and Matt's storyline.
Yeah.
Like we had the flashbacks to sort of aid it, but the main story of them was just two guys having a very intense conversation.
About betrayal and trust.
Friendship.
Yeah, and friendship. I really enjoyed the flashbacks. In general, flashbacks are kind of dangerous for me as a storytelling trope, just because they can sometimes be lazy, and I thought these were not lazy flashbacks. I think everything that got handled was needed and useful information.
Yeah, the pace was really good too. Like, we knew this was coming. This happens in an episode before. Like, something crazy happens, and obviously he needs some time to heal. So the showrunners have done an amazing job at slowing down the pace.
Time to heal both physically and emotionally.
Exactly.
And spiritually, if we're all...
Yeah,
No,
spiritually,
but I mean,
yeah.
he's kind of out of commission anyways. He can't really fight. There can't be really any crazy action scenes coming from Charlie Cox's character. So I think it's an amazing time just to slow it down, and we needed this episode. You called it last week. You knew it was going to be basically a dialogue episode.
Which I'm so happy about. My favorite thing about the flashbacks was it was all stuff that they've already referenced. It was drawing the sign on the napkin. It was meeting themselves and meeting each other in college.
Yeah.
It was all of that great stuff while seeing the where they at to where they started back to back. I mean, Once Upon a Time doesn't do it very well, but this show did it very well.
Oh, shots fired once upon a time.
Oh, it's gotten so bad.
Let's see you storybook that one.
Whoa, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down.
Thank you for catching me.
And watch Grimm. What? Okay.
Yes, watch Grimm instead.
But I really liked the flashbacks. I think I loved college Matt and college Foggy.
I just have the word goatee with an underline here.
How hilarious is that he's almost Eldon Henson, the character that plays Foggy, he's almost 40.
Yeah.
And he fully looked like a young freshman
little
college student.
kid.
I was so impressed.
I bought it. I mean, I
Yeah.
bought it as much as like anytime they put like a 35-year-old person in a wig and stick them in a dorm room.
It's just like they were like, okay, we need need to do flashbacks, so don't cut your hair for a couple weeks, and we'll come back and we'll shoot this last. Also, am I the only one who kind of wished that he would look like Fulton Reed? Like black hair and like a hockey stick hanging up in his dorm or something? Come on, Mighty Ducks fans.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think seeing College Them and like seeing like the establishment of kind of the lies that Matt has started with Foggy, and like then seeing the reaction to those, like, was a great way to kind of show the back and forth and like the feeling of betrayal going through what Foggy was feeling this entire episode. Because it is kind of that question, like, what if your best friend for like over 10 years, like, what if there was a fundamental part of who he was that you found out was absolutely not true, and he'd been lying to you about this, and like lies on top of lies and like compound lies, that kind of stuff. Like, what would that reaction be? And then on top of that, it's someone who until 2 weeks or 2 episodes ago, someone you were calling a terrorist. And like someone who like you were like thought was killing cops.
Yeah, I think what's great about Foggy's reaction is that he manages to hold on to some of his humor in it because he sees sees the ridiculousness of what's happening.
He's like an old man, really an old man taught you kung fu.
Yeah.
Stick?
A guy named Stick. Okay.
A ninja.
Yeah. When he said ninja, I was like, you gotta choose your words better, man. That's not. I'm trying to tell you something true. There was this fire ninja. Sure, please.
I was dragged on the ground by a kasarigama.
I don't even know what that is, so I'm gonna have to trust you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I don't trust you because you've been lying to me your whole life. But Foggy's really dealing with the fact that his friend, like, he doesn't know who this person is in front of him because, as like you were saying, like, he was just yelling about this person, like, you're the terrorist, and then now he has to think, like, oh wait, so I effectively called you a terrorist to your face and didn't realize it.
Totally. Yeah. And he's like, are you even blind? Like, that's just so...
Like, I get it. World on fire or something.
That was the cool thing, is it went from such a serious scene of actually getting to see through Matt's eyes, and it's like, sure, whatever, great. Yeah. I don't believe you.
Yeah. Can you see this?
How many fingers am I holding up?
Yeah.
That moment, actually, when I went back and rewatched the episode, and if you watch it, like, he pauses, like, just to fit with the idea that he has to concentrate for anything like that. Because, a hand in front of his face doesn't make sound depending on how many fingers are up. He can only sense it if he, like, waits, concentrates, thinks about... I imagine there's something to do with airflow.
Yeah, because the jutting out of the arm, or the different
heat.
Air, and
or he just, like, knows his friend really well.
It was less of him concentrating, him going, he's probably flipping.
We also got confirmation that it was from the toxic waste. I know there was like there was some debate whether in this universe it was because of the toxic waste.
I can now safely say that I was wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were right. We didn't have any confirmation that whether or not it was toxic waste or not. But in this one, there was confirmation that it was not all blind people who focus really hard in this world have superpowers. It's specifically Matt does.
Something about whatever chemical got in his eyes gave him heightened senses.
And Stick has close to, but not as good.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like back to when we were talking about Foggy and Matt, I feel like the like integral part of their conversation that he was so upset about is that like he had to trust Matt, right? So he's always trusted him to be his best friend, and Matt's never had to trust Foggy because he always knows. I felt like he always knows if he's lying or not. Yeah. So I felt like that was the biggest blow. Foggy's like, what? You've known the whole every time I've ever lied to you, you've known? And like that was I was just trying to think like if this was me in that situation, like having a best friend that I trusted and then knowing they didn't have to ever trust me. I could have just been like there for like a cover up, or I could have been whatever. I think that was a huge blow to Foggy.
Well, I felt like Foggy was he wasn't fully in the right on that line, because like people lie to their friends all the time. Like it's usually little things or like
it's never like I killed your brother.
Yeah.
Or if it is, you should probably report that.
I mean, you don't know my friends.
Probably not your friend in that case. But my point is that like we lie to each other just naturally. It just things come up, things happen, even if they're white lies or whatever. And a lot of times both people even know that there's a lie afoot, and it's just sort of like you can let it go.
Yeah, but I think the part of that kind of white lie thing is there's just kind of like a cultural understanding that people will, like, friends will, like, do these white lies. So the fact that it was never a two-way street between the two of them. It was only one person like lying to the other, and the other always knowing when things were true or false is, I think, the thing that kind of hurt Foggy the most. And like it was like a trust thing. I think you brought up a really good point that it's like Matt didn't need to trust Foggy the way Foggy trusted Matt. Mm-hmm. Like Matt was completely fine without needing Foggy in that type of way.
Yeah, and they like left the big like hoity-toity law firm just because he trusted in Matt. And I feel like Foggy's put so much trust in Matt that I think that was kind of like.
Yeah, that we never saw Foggy lie to Matt, but we saw Foggy trust Matt. Yeah, which I think was probably a more powerful choice. It was cooler to see that moment of them leaving. He's like, I'm going to steal as many bagels as I can because working with you, I don't know when I'm going to eat a good meal ever again.
Yeah, I guess the big difference is that Foggy really put his life in Matt's hands. Yeah. Not in the same sense that like the people that Daredevil saves put their lives in his hand, but Foggy like left his entire future
he could have been
in the hands of Matt Murdock.
Yeah, he could have been a butcher.
He could be slicing salami right now.
His mother would be so proud.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I felt like also in this episode they did a really good job at juxtaposing building up their friendship, like with all the flashbacks, because you see where they come from, and we didn't get a lot of that before, and tearing it down. So like every time they'd give you like a really good flashback with the goatee and the long hair and Matt with the little floppy hair, then you'd go back and you'd see him being like, you lied to me about this, you lied to me about that. I thought it was super cool how they did a flashback like right when they did something that was just tearing the friendship apart.
It was like emotional tug of war.
It was. Yeah. All the feels.
And there was a little bit in the college flashback, like in that drunk scene where we see, because we're sober, that
so you say that, but I mean,
we see that Matt is holding back. Yeah. Like, also just because we know the story, we can see where he's holding back. But we see, like, not just in the big moments where he's he like almost slips about his heightened senses, but like where he's talking about the girl that he like was, see, like he lied about that, like, and that's fine. People would lie about that, but Matt knew when Foggy was lying about the exact same thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, are you talking about that Greek girl?
Oh, yes.
That Greek girl? Are there any Greek girls that are really important to Daredevil? Jamie, did you catch that?
I'm not sure. I think that there's somebody named Elektra.
Yeah, that's right.
Elektra was a Spider-Man villain. Sorry, too much of what's in my mug.
Three of us
I didn't
sober.
think about that. I did not think. It's very good bourbon. I never thought. I didn't make the Elektra connection. That came. It's been a long day.
It's okay.
It's a nice little hint.
Yeah.
It's so much of a throwaway.
It's thrown away on me.
You can't say Greek girl.
Oh no, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's like they're gonna bring her back? I mean, they obviously could at this point.
I don't think they're gonna bring Elektra into this series. Like, I think this is less a Daredevil show and more a Kingpin show. So I don't think Elektra is as important to this story, but I think going on, I think they might bring her in like for season 2 or something like that.
Oh yeah, I don't. It's too little for something this season. Let's face it. The fans have been. You guys have been real nice about spoilers. You've been real good.
You guys have been fantastic.
There's no way we wouldn't have heard about that.
Yeah. There is no way. Just
No, that's awesome. There were so many, but also there's so many little eggs.
Yeah.
So many little eggs.
So many little eggs.
Yeah. Were there any other ones that we might have missed while we're talking Easter eggs?
Not in the Matt and Foggy story.
Other ones.
But in other ones,
we'll get to those then. Yeah. We'll get to those.
Yeah. There are stuff. There are things.
Jonathan Moss, is Jennifer Garner available for next season?
I don't.
That's the only reason I feel like they're gonna avoid that for longer, even than season 2, is because like they know they're already at like risk of being compared to the movies, and like the last thing they need is to like slip the like Elektra spinoff.
And maybe Defenders. Maybe by 2 seasons of Daredevil, and by the time they get to Defenders, just so they can have as many bodies in Infinity War.
Well, if they do a season of Daredevil a year, sure we're going to be at like season 4 by the time we get to Defender.
Well, think about that. If they end up doing several seasons, so we got season 1, they're shooting Jessica Jones, and they're shooting another season of Daredevil, and then when Jessica Jones wraps, there's a second season of Jessica Jones, a third season of Daredevil, and then Power Man, and then when
I don't know if they're gonna do like a second season of Jessica Jones
of all of them,
unless
we don't know how successful.
How good is Purple Man? We don't know that yet.
Purple Man's pretty fantastic.
I mean,
but I mean in the series. But yes.
People like looking at David Tennant.
Yeah, just as a rule.
Yeah.
I've probably seen the Elektra movie 3 times.
You poor devil.
I can't remember anything about it. I can't remember a single plot point about the Elektra movie.
Wasn't there like the weird thing with all of the laundry in the warehouse or something?
Probably.
I don't.
All right.
Probably.
Well, anyway, back to this show and like this episode.
Yeah.
But the other big discussion point is just Foggy trying to wrap his brain around the concept of Daredevil and fighting crime.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Oh, this is the sin. This is it. Is this an Elektra trailer?
Was that tattoo?
All right.
There she is.
Okay, Steven, you're having much too much fun.
Yeah,
Whoever monitored, there she is.
But Foggy's he's trying to wrap his head around because this is mind blowing.
The concept of superpowers in the real world would be mind blowing. Yes.
I mean, but
even after Avengers.
We've seen superheroes since the world has known about superheroes since the 40s in this universe. Like they knew Captain America was a real person.
Yes.
I think it's hard because as a viewer, I want Foggy to align with the hero in the story so that he can continue being a hero and keep kicking ass. And so as a viewer, when I was watching this, I know everybody out there that that's not sensitive, but Foggy kind of was annoying.
You're a terrible person. You're a terrible person.
I know, he wasn't.
Have a heart.
I know, I'm sorry. And I don't,
Jamie
jeez,
Elias.
guys, come on. Okay, I really, on a real level, don't think he was being annoying because if it was me, I would have done the exact same thing. But as a viewer who wants Daredevil to beat Kingpin, I was kind of like, Foggy, just be on his side so we can go ahead and kick Kingpin's ass and this can just be over with.
Both avenues, the illegal way, the vigilante way, because it's not breaking the laws if you're a good person, and the legal way with Nelson and Murdock.
That's Foggy's big point, is that their whole mission in forming Nelson and Murdock was to fix Hell's Kitchen. That's the big motive here, but it was to fix it through the law.
Well, my big thing is 3 episodes ago, Foggy was talking about just be I wish I could just kill that devil character or whatever. Foggy was talking about wanting to be a vigilante basically, and Matt was like, "You don't want to do that." He's like, "I know I don't, but let me say these things." And so I think that's another big thing is Foggy has this kind of same impulse that Matt has, but he does not have the same ability that Matt has,
or the ability to take action.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why Foggy talks about why we're supposed to do this the right way, and then when Matt goes into the story about the first time he went out as the Man in the Mask, that made everybody step back and go,
"Oh yeah."
Classic Netflix Daredevil.
Doesn't matter what Foggy says anymore.
Yeah.
Matt was right.
100%, and that's.
And then it looked like on Foggy's face, it was like.
I mean, I love that. I love that he had his hands wrapped like a boxer because it was before he had his gloves. So it was the only way he knew how to do anything. He was just wrapped like a boxer. That was extremely brutal.
Yeah.
And he.
I can't say what my note was because this is a PG show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't even know you could put those words together.
As soon as we heard that anecdote, though, oh my gosh, I seriously was sick. I was like, oh my god.
Well, because he picked. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
We picked exactly the right
100%.
story because, you can't argue with going out of your way around the law to stop a child molester.
Right?
Yes.
There's no argument against that. I don't know.
But
and I think
Foggy's. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, Jamie.
It's really okay. This is so awkward. Anyways, I think that when Foggy, basically after that story, Foggy was there are times, I think he understood, even though the end of the scene was so, dramatic with them both crying and leaving, I think that he understood, hey, he's doing this because he believes it's right, and there's really nothing I can say to combat some of the things that he's being a vigilante towards.
And Foggy's point to that, though, is like, you still were training, you were still getting ready for it. It's like you were just looking for an excuse to hit someone.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of speaks to the duality of Matt's character, where he could very easily be a villain as much as he could be a hero. And that it is his choice into who he's fighting and that kind of thing that it makes him who he is. But he could very easily, I mean, he's dropping guys off of roofs. He's like, you know, he's putting people in traction in the hospital. Like, that, even though he's doing it for the right reasons, he's still just like destroying people's lives, bad people's lives. But still, I mean, the difference between dropping a guy off a roof and him living and dying are it's like a very small difference.
Slim and none.
Easily could have killed that guy.
Yeah,
Easily.
He also let a ninja light itself on fire in front of him.
No, he did it.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
sparked
yeah,
it.
I mean,
Story.
He killed nobody.
I could help him, but I don't want.
But there's a big difference between actively throwing somebody off a roof
And letting somebody burn to death.
Yeah, well, because like a guy who's just doing everything to kill you.
Dude, he hooked the little thingy, whatever you call it, into his ribs and dragged him out.
Yeah, and then like letting that guy sort of like kill himself and like not help it, not going out of your way as you bleed to death on your own.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yumi on chat, sorry, really quick, made a really good point saying basically that he's been a hypocrite, kind of like that Matt's been a hypocrite this whole time because he's telling Karen and Foggy, you need to do it by the books, do it by
stick to the law.
Exactly, stick to the law, stick to the law, and that's like a great point too. Because if I was Foggy, I'd be kind of pissed about that. I'd be like, really, you just told me to do this.
As Charlie Barajas in the chat brings up, chat making a lot of good points here.
Come on, chat.
Charlie said, but great point by Foggy. Matt had to keep training while avoiding turning into a quote unquote avoiding turning into a vigilante.
Yeah,
and that's the big thing is that like and I think it's not really. I don't really call it like being a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that he was fighting himself.
Yeah,
like he wanted to.
Totally.
Do what his dad asked him. He wanted to not fight, to not be that person, but he still had this compulsion to do it. And so he trained, he readied himself in case he needed to.
And from Matt's point, that totally makes sense, but if I'm playing Foggy, I'm still kind of pissed because no matter what, I'm like, come on, like, let me help you. Like, I'm your best friend.
As Chet pointed out, did we forget the bat and the stopping of the mugging of the bat?
Yeah, Foggy's a badass too.
Yeah.
But there's a difference there is a difference between stopping an active crime when somebody is being hurt and going out of your way.
But they're still
For that
active.
first story, we've seen other stories where
They're still active criminals.
Matt acts on what he hears.
Yes, but we have to include the ones where he goes out of his way in the discussion.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
it's a fair debate though, because from Matt's perspective, yes, he's not stopping the act of violence as it happens, but he is preventing child abuse.
Yeah, which is a great thing.
Yeah, let's argue for child abuse. Let's do that.
Everyone out there, if you can do something to prevent child abuse, do it.
Yeah,
It's all within your power.
I know.
Please.
we are not advocating breaking the law in any way, which or form. We at AfterBuzz respect the law in all of its
100%,
forms.
yeah.
That being said, stop the child molesters.
Any way you can.
Yeah.
We also had on Twitter, Ron Corleone said, 2 situations when I'm fine with a friend lying by omission to me. 1, if they killed someone. 2, if they're a superhero.
I mean, that's
Valid points.
all right.
But I mean, like,
I'd want my friends to let me know if they killed someone.
having superpowers does not. We don't see it as much on this show, but like if we jump over to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., let's say. I won't give just in case people are behind. I won't say specific characters, but if you've seen the finale, you know which character I'm talking about. Who turns and like is somebody with powers who is working for bad.
Yeah.
There are bad people with powers, so being a superhero, being super does not make what you're fighting for right.
Yes.
Why are you going to bring that up, bro? That was heavy.
Yeah.
That was really heavy.
It was real heavy. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the thing is, like, yes, superpowers have been around for a while in this world, but really I feel like the big introduction to superpowers was the Avengers movie. And maybe like Iron Man and like the Hulk movies, I guess, before. Like there are things that have happened, but I think Avengers was like the big coming out for superheroes. And so I think it's still like a scary kind of new thing, and so like I think Foggy definitely has a right to be a little upset and weirded out by the fact that Matt is blind but not really. Like I think that's a valid point he has.
I think every part of his reaction is mainly fueled by just the simple fact of
betrayal.
You said it. Betrayal. Yeah.
Like even little things, he was like, "You know they're hot. I know you know they're hot.
I know you knew that. I knew you.
Okay.
No, and the Claire thing is just like, Claire, she was hot, but I bet you knew that.
No, and speaking of Claire, were you guys just a little like the whole time I was like, okay, picturing the scene in my head. So Claire didn't tell Foggy anything, right?
Nope.
So they're like awkwardly sitting in silence while she's like stitching him up. I would have liked to see that scene.
Yeah.
Personally,
I would have
I'm
seen Claire.
Donde está Claire?
Yeah.
Claire Devil.
But
This episode was about Daredevil, not Claire Devil.
You're right. You're right. Somebody hashtag Daredevil earlier. I was
Daredevil. But I kind of like that scene being off screen because of the our brains can make it so much more awkward than it even could be.
It's super awkward.
And I like the idea that Claire just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And that
Loyal.
we're following Matt's perspective. Like now knowing that Claire was there and then being like, oh, what did she tell Foggy? And then finding out it was nothing. Like that journey from Matt's perspective, I really enjoyed
Totally. And even her not saying anything to Foggy not saying anything. Like he had ample opportunities to like tell Karen like what was going on or like just give her an inclination that something was happening that shouldn't have been happening, and he just kept his mouth shut. And I really think like as Foggy's character, even if something happens between them, like we all hope they're gonna reconcile and be fine with each other, but even if they didn't, on some weird off chance Netflix has taken some really dark turn, I don't think Foggy would say anything. I don't think.
But I can see Foggy getting up. I mean, he even says it. He's like, "You made me lie to someone I care about," which like makes him even worse. Is like now he is a part of this lie. Now he has to lie to someone as well.
But do you think he like starts to issue an ultimatum? I have to think. Eventually, he comes like he has to come around like. Just by the nature of his character, and that like we know that Daredevil is fighting for good, even if it's complicated. But does he try to tell Karen? What do you guys think?
I mean,
Karen's gonna find out. No, maybe she won't.
I think Karen's now too wrapped up, especially with what we saw with this episode. And she's gonna come back in a while. Well, maybe not a while, but she's gonna be a little bit wrapped up on that, and then she's gonna be like, "Well, what's happening? What's going on? Why are you gone? And where is Matt? Why am I the only person at this office?" So I think it'll maybe next episode.
Yeah, just in regards to the
you guys can't just
in regards to the Claire scene and like it being awkward. Steve Barnett,
resident medic,
medic. Thank you for always weighing in. But he was saying yesterday. Apparently, he sutured up a Marine's, and I'm quoting here, rectal region.
Okay,
and
where's this going, guys?
There's nothing to talk about during such a time.
Nothing to talk about.
So everyone in the room just is quiet and is like, "Do your work. I will be.
You do you
on the other side of the room.
Me, and we won't do each other.
Maybe we'll discuss in a few hours."
Holy smokes!
That sounds.
Oh my goodness!
That sounds like not a lot of fun.
No. But that makes sense. Like, during extreme medical procedures, maybe talking.
Even something as simple as I have to work. Please, I don't want to talk right now.
Yeah.
But then, right when she's done, she just runs.
Focus on.
Well, and also just
She's probably still
remember,
pissed.
remember she's pissed. She's only there because like I'm pissed, but like I'm not gonna let you die.
Exactly.
But it is an intense moment that I think eventually when we do see Claire again, it will be very interesting to see what her reaction is.
Because Matt had to be near death.
Oh,
like as close to death as you can be and now be awake in this episode.
Did she bring blood?
Yeah,
Because he lost a lot of blood.
Yeah, resident medic. If you have what is the thing called?
The Kasurigama.
If you have a Kasurigama to your...
He might.
I got you guys.
He might.
To your rib and are dragged across a room, Is there any possible way you're making it through that without a blood transfusion? General question, actually.
Probably not.
Maybe that's why Foggy's pissed. Maybe he sat hooked up with the needle on a Mad Max style. Yeah. Maybe he was his blood bag.
Let's hope Claire is the same blood type.
Oh my gosh.
Just everyone's bringing blood.
Yeah. But any other thoughts on Foggy and everything in that insanity?
And like the end, so many, like, even though the whole time I was like, oh, Foggy, come on, just be on his team. The end when they were both in tears, I was like, so many emotions. Like I thought the actors, I thought Charlie Cox and Eldon Henson. I thought they did an amazing portrayal of both of those characters, like as best friends forever. Like I was just like, man, Daredevil all the way. I'm into it. I like it.
Someone on chat brought this up. Now Matt, Foggy brought up this, that like they are now a part of the, like, whether or not they chose to, all of Matt's friends are now part of the vigilante world. Like even though they didn't choose to, he's put them all in danger now, because he is now attacking these giant, like, crime lords. And if they ever find out, which is a thing that happens a lot in the comic books, they're all in danger. Like, Foggy in the comic books a lot of time is used as the damsel in distress in Daredevil. If it's not, he's the only damsel that doesn't die in the comic books is Foggy.
Yeah, I mean, when you're the best friend of, like, a superhero, like, you're gonna get dangled off a bridge every now and again.
Or the aunt of one.
Yeah.
Thanks, May. Related reference?
Thanks, May.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that'll wrap it up for our talk of Nelson and Murdock, avocados at law.
Yeah, that was so good. We're gonna be the best damn avocados the city's ever seen.
There was a debate whether an avocado was a vegetable or a fruit. It's a berry.
AfterBuzz exclusive.
It is technically a berry.
It's technically a berry, so...
You learn something new every day,
there
folks.
you go, avocados.
Dun, da, da, da.
Somebody made a good point about the blood.
There it is. Thank you, Steven.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That maybe she was stashing blood of his own type somewhere because she's cheated him before.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But so before we move on, because we're going to talk about Fisk and Gao, and we're going to talk about Yurik and his wife and Fisk's mom. Question mark?
Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Really?
Question mark and exclamation point.
There we go.
But before we do that, I want to give some shout outs to our awesome fans on iTunes.
Y'all are
who
rad.
have been nice enough to give us some reviews.
Awesome.
All 5 stars this week. I am proud to say you guys are the best. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, I would love if you guys could go onto iTunes, hit us with a review. It really does help us, not just our show, but the whole network. But it helps our show to find more viewers. To find we're like we had a guest in a week 2 for episodes 3 and 4, and like that is because of your guys' reviews on all of our shows that we're able to do things like that. So yeah, I want to give some shout outs here. Please. J Renee 424 says, only watching 2 episodes a week is killing me, and now we're down to 1. So we switched to 1 because with these last few episodes, we saw that it's getting more and more intense. There's more and more to talk about, and we want to be able to give it the time that each episode truly deserves.
Sure.
So for the rest of the run, I think we're going to keep it to 1 episode.
Uno.
But it's worth it because this after show is awesome.
Well, thank you.
Prodigal 358, Daredevil Forever. These have to be 2 of my favorite episodes of the series. Talking about last week's, I think 8 and 7 and 8. The depth of their skills are uncanny.
Nice.
Can you recommend any Daredevil graphic novels for someone new to Daredevil comics?
He actually contacted me on Twitter, and I told him to start at the Brubaker.
With Brubaker?
Yeah, just because like that's the modern version of Daredevil.
Brubaker's good, and then I've heard Wade is really good. I've only read a couple.
Wade is a lot of fun, but Brubaker's kind of like the introduction to modern Daredevil, and then you can get into all the old stuff that's really fun and cool.
The Miller years and stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite Daredevil comic is not an official Daredevil comic. Surprise! It's a Punisher one, but. Daredevil, Wolverine, and Spider-Man show up at Punisher's door and say, bro, you gotta stop killing people.
Yeah.
And what happens next, if we're thinking of BuzzFeed headlines, what happens next will shock you. But Matt's part in it is pretty fun, too.
I'm going to guess Punisher kills
I really
all of them.
liked...
They're all dead.
Yeah.
You spoiled it.
I really liked recently, Marvel did the Superior Iron Man run,
Yeah.
and the first, 4 issues are, feel more like a Daredevil book than an Iron Man book.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I won't spoil it, but it's a fun little run, like a mini, little Daredevil and Iron Man run around. But some more shout outs. Papa Glock says,
Favorite name so far.
as soon as I watched the first episode, I looked online to see if AfterBuzz was doing a show. I was so happy to see that my friends have not let me down. Keep up the good work. I look forward to the other
Papa
Defenders
Glock,
series.
You are the homie.
Popping and glocking.
Mandingo Leader 1, the podcast without fear. I give this podcast 5 eye injuries. I waited to get into your podcast until I recently completed binge watching Netflix Daredevil. After binge listening to the Daredevil AfterBuzz show, I now want to go back and watch Daredevil again with the insights gained from your podcast. I appreciate the scene analysis, some comic book info sprinkled in, and most of all, the humor. Keep it up, yo. And Miss Brooklyn 79, fun podcast. This is such a fun podcast. I already binged the show, tried watching a little bit of time, couldn't do it, but I still listen to this podcast. We know how you feel. Knowing how it ends is fun to see how close or how far off the mark the hosts get. I also appreciate the little things they catch that I might have missed in my rush to watch the show. It makes me want to go back and rewatch the show again. Claire Devil Forever.
Yay!
And she says, not a spoiler. Just really like them together.
I have some theories from this episode that will probably be way off the mark, but I still have them.
Oh, take those swings, Jesse.
Also, I said Brubaker. I met Brian Michael Bendis. There are a lot of bees going on. I met Brian Michael Bendis's
because Brubaker
run.
did do Daredevil.
He did, but Bendis is kind of like the beginning of the new Devil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Frank Miller is fantastic. It's super dark.
I really like the comment in the chat. Aunt Melinda May, Superman, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crossover.
Twist!
I think Spider Island May got spider powers. I think she was one of the people that got spider powers in Spider Island, so that might be a thing that happened.
Wait, in the current? Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Guys, we're taking some left turns
Yeah, we
here.
are way off topic. Let's get back on track and talk about Fisk and Madame
Okay,
Gao.
Madame Gao
This
is
is my
the
favorite
baddest
scene.
MFer in this entire show. Like, she is my favorite character by far. I think she is so cool. I'm into her. That's all. The end.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite part of this entire episode is after Gao basically is like, someone will make the decision for you, and then she gets up and just like weakly limps away after she just like threatened this guy, and she's like so physically
my
different than him,
gosh. I
but still
know.
so intimidating.
Yeah, because she doesn't need, that's what's so amazing about her
Yeah.
is the portrayal of like this frail woman who has so much power, and you feel like she could crush you with her thumb.
And every time she threatens Fisk, it seems like she's saying, like, the way she's saying it, it seems like she's saying, like, would you like some more hot chocolate, dear? But it's just like,
I'm gonna kill everyone you love.
it's like, if you don't make the decision,
Grandma.
I will for you. Like, it's
Oh my gosh.
her delivery is fantastic. And this is actually where one of my big theories comes from, is she asks Fisk if he has recovered the body of the man in the mask, and he says no, and she says, well, Nobu's people are making preparations for his, and Nobu is a hand ninja, and the hand are kind of famous for not letting people die and resurrecting them and bringing them back. So my theory right now is we are going to see some more Nobu action later on in the series.
Zombie Nobu.
Yeah, zombie Nobu. Like,
Flaming Nobu.
I mean,
firepower.
He's
Zombie ninja.
he's probably gonna be
Oh my gosh.
burned or something, or just like wrapped like a mummy.
Crispy ninja.
But like the hand are kind of famous for
I mean, again,
resurrecting themselves.
it's a great it would be a great lead into Iron Fist down the line.
Beating Gal might require help from an Iron Fist from Jonathan Mancha.
They're also making really good points. I wrote this down in my notes. The whole time he was speaking Mandarin Chinese, I'm like, is he just doing a Fisk voice or does he just really suck at Mandarin Chinese? Like, I can't tell. But I kind of like went back and watched it because I was like, man, is Vincent? Does he just actually like can't really speak it? I think he's just trying to be Fisky and talk like this in Mandarin. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, I don't think
Which is interesting because like Mandarin, like you can say the same word, but depending on your inflection, it means many different things. So like the fact that Fisk is just speaking the words in his one tone means he could just be like house, dog, fire, home.
I'd be interested to hear from somebody.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of us on this panel speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
If any listeners out there do speak it,
He does not speak Mandarin well, but bless his heart, he tried.
Okay, there you go.
But if any listeners do know if he like accidentally like changed his meaning,
Did he at least get the tones right? No.
No. Yumi Misaka says
try.
no.
Ni hao
But I'd be
to my
curious
Mandarin friends.
I'd be curious what he might have accidentally said.
I think that's even scary on Gao's thing because she's like, he's saying everything wrong, but I'm gonna be nice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give him the benefit of doubt. And then she just gets frustrated and says, "Okay, I'm speaking English now."
Oh, you mean
Maybe
she's
that's the
lying
reason
so
for it.
that. But she's
To
lying,
make him
but
feel
Fisk
better.
doesn't know. A little
gosh.
white lie between friends.
I mean,
as
that
a
whole-
Chinaman, it was decent, but the pronunciation and citation of Fisk's speech pattern. Basically, he's
It's
saying
weird.
it didn't suck all the way.
Okay, I wonder if it's probably a combination of Vincent D'Onofrio's just like he probably doesn't speak Mandarin. He's got a vocal coach there working with him to like memorize the words and the sounds. And just like he has to just like repeat it, not knowing what he's saying exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
which is very very difficult.
So difficult. How hard would that be? Like you're not even familiar
yeah.
a little bit with Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah.
I know that like there were cases like when I was doing the Helix after show here at AfterBuzz, we were talking a little bit with the showrunner about Hiroyuki Sanada, and he famous Japanese actor, and he has to have a vocal coach help him with a lot of words he doesn't understand, but he learns the pattern of the
rhythm,
words.
yeah.
So that's a bit of it, and I think it's a combination of that with the Fisk character, who is this guy with some minor autism, and so he speaks very slowly and awkwardly anyway. So it doesn't help with a very complicated language like
Totally.
Although
Mandarin.
he was fantastically charismatic last episode when he was like speaking about what happened in the tenements. I thought that was a fantastic. Like it seems like when he's doing public speaking, he's much more comfortable than when he's one-on-one with people.
I think that's like his shift after he met Vanessa too. I
Yeah.
think that we see a drastic shift in his character, like from who he was before Vanessa and after Vanessa, and that's why I think all of like the bad guys are ganging up on him like they're in like middle school, like to get rid of your girlfriend. You totally forgot the point. Come on,
Yeah.
we're supposed to take over Hell's
Yeah.
Kitchen.
I mean,
Never
that's-
hang out with
I
us
know.
anymore.
That's the
Now that
big.
you've got a girl.
That's the big point of that whole speech is that like you are distracted. You are not of one mind.
Yeah.
You need to focus on taking over this city. Stop getting laid, bro.
You can't be the hero, or you can't be the savior and the oppressor.
Bros before hoes.
You have to be one or the other, which I think is important because I think, like, going back to last episode, I think Fisk still thinks he's the savior and also the oppressor because, like, in the last episode, I 100% think he didn't think the killing in the tenements was like his bad.
necessary.
It was a necessary thing that they wouldn't bend, and that it was like a natural thing that had to happen. I don't think Fisk like sees himself as a bad guy still. Like I think he still sees himself as a great guy who's saving his people.
Yeah, well, the thing that I love about this series, and like we've talked about it before, but just the fact is that Fisk isn't 100% wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and the way the series sets him up in that way, like, the city there's a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And, like, so if you have to sacrifice 10 people to clean up the city and make it a safe place to move forward, if the risk is if you knowingly have to sacrifice, let's say it's 10 people, it's 100 people.
Yeah.
But by doing that, you prevent the deaths of 1,000 people because the city is in such terrible shape.
Yeah.
And people are getting robbed and murdered constantly. is that okay?
But
I mean,
But
that's
what
a
have we
that's a
seen him
dangerous
do?
game because it's like,
Yeah.
is 100 people acceptable, but 500 people not
also-
acceptable to save 1,000?
Needs of a many.
Is one person worth like is like corrupting yourself worth saving 1,000? Is if it's 1,000 people and you kill 900 people to save 1,000 people, is that an okay equation?
But-
like where does it end and where does it begin?
Fraction increases.
Guys, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I haven't seen him do anything good for the city. Like, let's be real. The only things, like, he's saying, I want to save the city, I want to save the city. Every single thing I've seen him do is talk to drug lords and talk to people.
Yes, but
to
you're
push-
not supposed to see that part.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, like, even if he's trying to push drugs to to up the economy, like, I don't even know where he's going with his plans. I'm not seeing his bigger picture. I'm seeing him be more and more powerful.
we probably will.
And more and more rich. But I'm just saying, this whole time, like, it's not believable for me as a viewer because I'm not seeing.
Well,
any-
there's that restaurant that he takes Vanessa to that wasn't there before. And it's like a nice fancy restaurant in Hell's Kitchen. I think the wealthier you are, the more you are benefiting from what Fisk is doing. Because what he's doing is he's outpricing people and where they're living and making it more...
He's gentrifying.
Yeah, he's gentrifying it, which means, you know, sure, that gets rid of the criminal element, but it also, like, the people who are law-abiding citizens just have to move to the next place where the criminal element is.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to stay in Hell's Kitchen anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He looked at what the hipsters did to Brooklyn and said,
Silver
"Hey,
Lake.
not a bad idea."
Not in my backyard. I'll make it better.
Well, but I would say that I think we have seen him do like some arguably good things because I think that his plan all along was to take down the Russians.
Like
Yeah.
what, Jesse?
Well, he took.
Tell us how the
I'm
bad
Zach,
man did
I'm sorry.
right.
Well, he took down the Russians. He took down a major drug ring.
But because they weren't playing into his chess game.
But
I
would say that was his plan all along. He just moved it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then that brings us full circle to back to where we are right now. Is everybody who was now on his side is now like, well, damn, like, am I next? Like,
Think about it.
Yeah.
Leslie Loves Travel and Chat brought it up. Fisk is surrounded himself with people that he thinks are scum. Human traffickers, drug lords, mob people. These are all the people he wants to scrub from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
So by becoming responsible for them and then snuffing them out one by one, he gets rid of all of the element, can control them, and maybe put them elsewhere.
but what's the
but the
damage
problem
in the
is-
meantime? Like, and I know we were talking about he doesn't care about people's, like, if it's 100 versus the entire city. I understand that, but I'm just saying there's so many things that he's not thinking all the way through. I feel like as a super villain, or if you're trying to clean up the city, like, you have to think about the damage you're causing versus, I just don't
It
understand.
won't matter in the end.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying, I don't understand how he sees himself as a good guy. Like, there's no way
That's the fun part about playing a villain. It's an old pro wrestling trope. If you 100%, or just a regular acting trope, if you 100% believe that you are right, then that's it. You play the you are the good guy, and the way that he's playing it.
I think for Fisk, it boils down to one simple sentiment: the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
If the city becomes a cleaner place for the future, then whatever he had to do to get it done is totally fine. And that's a really bad line to take because it's a slippery slope that leads to a lot of terrible things, like crushing people's heads in car doors.
My dad is a bad man. If I kill him with a hammer, he'll stop being a bad man.
And beating my mother.
And beating my mother. Like, I think that's where he gets this from, is he did something incredibly violent to someone who was incredibly bad, and
there was a
got
good
the
result.
that he wanted.
I totally get that. I just think he's an asshole still. I just don't see anything redeemable.
Oh, he's still a bad guy.
I don't see anything redeemable in him. Like, I know Netflix is like trying to make that parallel between him and Daredevil, and they did that for me in the beginning, like in the first 7 episodes.
Yeah.
But now, as it's progressing, I'm seeing no, like, redeemable qualities in him.
That's great. That means it's evolving. It starts you off thinking that they're so similar.
That's all I'm saying.
But this was, we keep reiterating everything in longer
That's all I'm
words.
saying.
But that's what this episode was. This episode was bringing it back together to show you how far apart that they have become.
Yeah.
Reiterating everything in longer words or evolving our
Go
thoughts.
Netflix.
I have no idea what you're talking
If
about.
Kingpin wins, there will be more Zupa and Glaze for everyone, and that's all that really matters.
He just has a food truck on the street. Super Inglese for everyone. This is how I will win the city's heart.
But more on like his conversations with Gao, but more about how now he's making Leland go be his like in between with Gao, and Leland just being the salty jerk he always is. Like, yeah, okay, that seems like a good plan. Like, just like, yeah, I'll go do it. And I don't know about you guys, but towards the end, they're at this fundraiser. A lot of people at the fundraiser get poisoned. I think they made it pretty clear that Leland poisoned them.
Ooh, I don't know.
No, I think Gao did.
No, I disagree.
I think Gao did too.
I think Leland
no,
and Gao did. I think both of them did.
Well,
She made the decision for him.
Yeah.
the only reason I don't think so, because out of it, I would have agreed with you.
Yeah.
But his face, and you could say he was putting it on, but when he saw everybody dying, and like you saw him like realize that it was the champagne, and then like drop the glass. Like,
It was more of a blasé. People are dropping champagne. This will make me look normal, and I'll make my escape.
Yeah, I would argue that.
But it could have also
I would argue he orders the drinks and goes, I don't know about you guys, I'm thirsty, and then he puts it to his mouth but never takes a sip out of it.
Yeah, give people the
it
idea
look
that
like
it's
he's
safe.
drinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for sure Leland and Gao teamed up with some poison.
guys,
That girl is poison, Madame Gao is.
I kind of think, and I could be way completely totally off,
Yeah.
but I don't think that his character drinks. Like, I don't think that after his father was such an alcoholic that he drinks ever, and that I think that when he pretends to drink, it's for show, and I think that Wesley knows that. So, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, well, what if it's Wesley? What if Wesley got jealous of... And I'm not saying there's any, like... I'm not... And this is just a theory.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not saying there's any, like, love connection between Wesley and the Kingpin, but they're like obviously best friends. Maybe there was some kind of jealousy there. They're besties. But I don't know. Maybe, possibly, could be.
But like Wesley brings Vanessa, like in that episode where he's having like such a bad day, Wesley brings Vanessa to him without Fisk asking him to.
Yeah, right in the beginning of their relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a 100% thing. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's Gao and Leland.
I think it's Gao and Leland too.
Yeah.
Especially because we started in the season with the other poisoning that happened.
Yeah.
So I think it's just that was a preview of you knowing exactly who did it, so that you could be like, why? Because we can't say that we like characters because then they're gonna die.
It's
I
true.
hate everybody now.
And there is like a pattern with Netflix. They tend to go like suspense over surprise. We were talking about this last. They'll give you it. This is what it is, but then you like are waiting to see what happens next.
Well, that's what you did. Neither Michael or I did it.
Guys, well, this episode I'm off, so there's that.
this show has been really good about showing us one event and then explaining it and shedding new light on it as the show goes forward.
Mm-hmm. Also, I don't think Fisk can like take out Gao. Like, I don't think that's an option for him. So, like, even if he finds out that Gao poisoned him, I don't think that's an option for him to take her out.
Well, I think that'll be what we get over the next few episodes. Is that amazing? Like his if he either trying to or like realizing that he can't, and realizing that although he felt like he was in charge of this little ring operation, he is obviously not. And what does that do to him? It's going to be very interesting.
Well, especially like mourning, like where his emotions going to go after and we don't know if Vanessa dies or if she's revived or saved or whatever. But imagine how pissed. Imagine how pissed Fisk. But imagine how pissed he was like when somebody interrupted their dinner. Okay, you kill her. What's going to happen?
I think we were talking about how his speech pattern has evolved and he's become more comfortable with his relationship with Vanessa. This is really the only way that I know how to say this. I think he might go King speech and just totally lose his words as he's trying to say them because he's so angry and he's trying to keep his composure, and then eventually he'll just rip people's heads off.
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
We also got a mention of Van Lunt, the guy who owns the hall and the guy who funded Senator Cherry. That's an important character in the Marvel Universe. That's Taurus in the Zodiac gang. which was a gang originally assembled, like all of the super spies, which means like Nick Fury, Dum Dum Dugan, Baron Strucker were all part of this Zodiac that got broken up, and that's what that's where Hydra, Shield, the Zodiac gang, and a lot of other kind of major entities in the Marvel universe came from, was this wheel of the Zodiac.
Interesting.
And so Van Lunt is the character who plays Taurus, and Nick Fury's brother plays Scorpio. And that's all I know about the Zodiac.
All right.
That's all I remember.
It's really, really interesting. It's a nice little tidbit we got in there.
What you come to see.
Before we move on and deeper into this episode, before we get into everything going on with Ben Urich and Karen Page and all that, I want to do a quick little roll-in that we got for you guys. It's about a new show, also from Disney. This is going to be on ABC. It's called Whispers.
That's so spooky.
We have to
take it in. We have
a little just a commercial. It's just a new show. It's going to be coming out soon on ABC.
Cool.
It takes the idea of like when kids are talking to their invisible friend, but then stuff starts happening and you start to hear things, and it's creepy kids talk, like you don't know if it's a real person or if it's a spirit or if it's anything. The commercials is the creepiest thing, because watching Shield and catching up on Shield, they would play that commercial constantly, and it just made me that much more creeped out.
Totally. Kids are weird anyways. So there's that. I'm just kidding. Jokes.
So Harper has a new friend. He's what you might call imaginary.
Monday, June 1st. What if a child's imaginary friend wasn't imaginary?
Grown-ups can't see him.
The can't-miss drama of the summer
I think this friend is real.
Told you, Mommy.
arrives.
I don't think we're dealing with a who. I think we're dealing with a what.
The Whispers, series premiere Monday, June 1st on ABC.
All right, I am sufficiently spooked and creeped out. I mean, this is the fun. I think that ABC and Disney have been great recently at giving us genre TV. Really knowing okay, people like to watch this thing. Well, let's just give them that. Let's find a way to do that. Let's do a horror show on television. Why not? Look at Daredevil.
Yeah, well, I think the interesting thing about this is, and just a real quick thing is my biggest problem with horror movies is you don't really get to explore the world very much, because of the nature of the fact that it's a 2-hour movie and you need things to move along. And so because of that, things happens where it's I wrote about this earlier this week, but the dad is just I know things are weird in this house, but I am going on a business trip and leaving you and the baby. And then in every horror movie, the dad's just I have a very important business trip. Sure, there is blood coming from our wall, but I must go now. and so I think this will allow us to actually just be able to move at a pace that's more real and interesting, because you can explore kind of all those horror movie tropes.
Yeah, and for me at least, the horror that I like is not really the jumpy horror, but the slow moving psychological, just will make you wake up in 3 a.m. just I heard a creak. What was that? What was that? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't imagine marathoning this like a Daredevil, because then
don't do it. You will you will be awake for a month.
You'll turn that show into the yells.
I would though, and the cursing.
Well, you know who deserves to yell out of some frustration?
Oh yeah, sure.
It's Ben Urich.
Yeah, he does.
He's having a real rough time.
Oh my god.
Ben.
I mean, we've got to spend some more time with him and his wife.
Oh, that scene where she's you are a reporter, and she really breaks it down who he is, and then she resets. Number one, that actress is fantastic. She blew that reset moment was so fantastic and so heartbreaking, and she just nailed it.
Without going into too much spoiler territory, but if you haven't seen Captain America: Winter Soldier, you're terrible. How would you compare it to that?
I mean,
one.
I mean, they both have have different merits. This one was more heartbreaking for me, even though I like Peggy Carter better. This is like this like the way she played it was perfect in my mind. Like that was so painful, especially because Ben needed her so much. Like needed those words of encouragement, needed her to remind him who he is, and then for her to reset like that was just like so like just terrible.
Totally The Notebook, man. I was like, oh no, and the whole good morning or hello beautiful and hello handsome. I was like, oh my gosh, this is too cute. She reset, and I was
thinking about that scene from Cap. I mean, like I have like the most massive crush on Haley Atwell, so like that scene, like there's a certain like just pain for me in that sense, but I think you're absolutely right. She built him back up. Like in a moment, and then right at the point where he like wants to go like, oh my god, thank you, you just like saved me, she goes right back and doesn't remember a moment of it.
Pulls out that bottom Jenga piece at the end of the game, and it all comes tumbling down.
An emotional Jenga piece.
Covered in tears.
Yeah, and like we see Ben kind of fighting with like all of these things. Like he's offered an editing position by his boss, and his boss like, you get benefits, and we see that like his time is running out with the hospital. They're running out of time there, and like he's just like in this place. Like I feel like his spirit is what Matt's body looks like. Like he's just getting cut and beat up left and right in this episode.
I liked the boss interjection though, because the whole time like we kind of think the boss is a sellout, but he also has his best intentions, he just is looking out for his friend. You can tell that he's like, hey, I'm not offering this to you because I think you want the job. I'm offering it to you because you might need it now. Yeah. And it could be a really cool segue into him becoming like, we've talked about how the show is very modern, right? So everything in it is like pretty up to date. Yeah. And you see this constant, like it's very, very underlying, but battle with like paper news versus TV and online media. And they even brought like a quick reference to everybody's writing from home now. Like, so this could be a very slight segue into maybe him becoming like an investigative reporter by himself while taking an editorial position. And I think that would be, in my opinion, best for his character. Because
keeps him anonymous too.
Yeah, and his wife is taken care of, and he doesn't have to go through libel, and he doesn't have to worry about what he writes anymore because it's his own personal.
Well, it's the safe move at this point in his life. It's what he should do, which is always really tough to decide, like what you should do versus what you want to do versus what you're compelled to do. Yeah. And when his wife is talking about this to him, I really loved that there's a huge parallel to Matt and his escapades, this Daredevil going on here, when she talks about being fearless versus being reckless. Yeah. And then like his experience has made him more careful and wise. And like while we're watching Matt Murdock in like the most reckless thing he's ever done in his life, the least wise and least careful moment. Ever. Yeah.
It's a great comparison.
He fought a ninja.
Yeah, he did. He did fight a ninja. Rule number 1, don't fight ninjas. Unless you are a ninja, and then maybe.
But rule number 2, don't fight the Kingpin after you fought a ninja.
Yeah, that too.
You should have jumped out the window then.
We can all agree that was very dumb.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting parallel, and also just I think a lot of it is between Daredevil and Fisk is like trying to figure out who you are, like your personality, like. And I like that she was like, at your bones, Ben, you are a reporter, and like that's who you are, and I think it's like at Matt's bones, he's a hero. He tried to be a villain. He tried to kill Kingpin. It didn't work out. That's not who he is. And at Fisk's bones, he is a villain. That's who he is. And I think it's about finding out who you are.
Who are you underneath the mask? Who are you once you're not hiding behind your anonymity? Who are you beyond the banner headline?
Dang, guys, we just unmasked a very deep motif in this entire show, because I feel like every single character is fighting with that, right? We have Karen, who's hiding from her past, which we don't really know much about at this point. We have Daredevil, obvious. We have Kingpin, obvious. We have Foggy, who's...
Foggy's the only one not hiding.
He's hiding from his ex-girlfriends.
I know.
Foggy's just like, hey, I am Foggy Nelson.
He started out wanting to be like this big time lawyer who just made money, and he's figuring out that underneath all of like the money that he wanted to make, he'd rather be a good person. It's just unveiling of everybody.
That's fair. There's a lot for everybody to find out, and what Ben decides to do as he moves forward is going to be a big question. Ron Corleone in the chat says Ben should go to work for another newspaper, perhaps, where his boss's name is Shmason.
And they should cast I don't know, J.K. Simmons or something. That would just be this hard driving dude with it.
All right, don't get me started on it's like the best. It's like the best thing in the world.
We hear what at least his initial plan was, which was not to take the editing job, but to quit and bring her back home and take care of her, take time off
with whatever money he had.
And take care of her with whatever money he had. And then Karen lies to him for his good and brings him out to this care facility.
I for sure thought we were going to learn about Karen. I was like, man, she's going to summon... Whoa.
She's going to destroy stuff.
But she's going to take him, and he's going to meet somebody that knows her and is from her past, and she's going to explain why she needs this, you know what I mean? And it totally threw me through a loop when it was not that situation.
It was better.
It was better.
So
how the frick did she know?
I mean, how did she know?
How the heck did you know?
I mean, that'll be interesting. I feel like next episode we have to get into that.
Totally.
But that's the reason why Fisk didn't want anybody to know who he was, because then people could start digging.
Yeah.
And he may have had his mom change her name as a result. She says it, but that might also be Wilson's a good boy.
Her sound like she's royalty.
Yeah, Kingpin sounds like you're royalty, even though you're shady.
Can I just say how awesome the set designers are in the show? Because in Fisk's mom's room there are little hints of Asian stuff. And it's
really?
Fisk was in Asia, and he brought his mom all these gifts. And she has a teapot that is very Asian, and little teacups that go with it. And there's a thing on the wall that has some kanji in it and stuff like that. And it's Fisk was even though he went away, he brought his mom all these gifts. And it's of course he visits her every weekend. And it's that little stuff that just makes the world more real and kind of gives you more background, that just makes the show so much more exciting to me.
What do you guys think is it time meant? She's going to bed, is it time? Every night you bring me you're not the person what do you think that is?
I mean, I think that might be just medication, right?
Maybe.
What could it be?
Exactly.
I kind of wrote it off as just innocuous.
So did as I wrote off the Greek chick. So you never know what they might be.
Never write off.
If they are.
I mean,
Sai comes flying through the studio.
If you want to go crazy with theories, it could be that Fisk is giving her drugs to make her have a bad memory.
That's the only thing I thought of too, for sure.
I know.
Maybe it's weed.
It could be something that
Fisk is such a mama's boy.
It could be something that. Well, no, but he's in his mind. I think he would be protecting her by doing that. It could be something that is keeping her. I don't know.
Could just be drugs for dementia too.
Yeah, it could be something very, very simple.
But it could also not.
But as long as we're thinking crazy, let's go crazy.
Someone in the chat says Zupa, which is quite possible. I mean, I think what this is really saying, and I think the things the little hints at gifts that Fisk has brought her, and the fact that he visits her every weekend, I think what it's saying is they have found the weakest of weak spots in Fisk.
Yeah, but now
like, this
what?
is this is as emotionally close as you can get to Fisk. And if he finds out, like, I feel like he is like that's going to be the big turning point in the series, is like when it becomes personal. Like, this is the first time that they've been like investigating all of his shell companies and like trying to make connections between it. This is like a personal attack on who Fisk is at his core.
But see, I can see Matt doing something with this, but I don't see Ben and Karen. And Karen has to know, like, Ben is a reporter. This isn't going to stand in court. What are you going to do? Put a woman with dementia on court and have her?
Yeah.
But it's also like, I think that this whole purpose is finding this woman is to dig deeper and to show Ben, hey, there's still more to be sought after and found out.
But also, it's a first step. You can find a police report. You can find people who lived in the same neighborhood, so you can get stories. You can get a corroborated story. You can get multiple sources, and it can be released as an actual.
Yeah, now that you know what happened, you investigate the dad. I find, like, he didn't run away. Like, you maybe dig up, like, they found some human remains, and then you DNA test them, and then boom,
totally.
That there's a hammer in the skull of this guy who is
found downriver,
DNA related to Wilson Fisk.
Yeah. I mean, it at least opens up more than just investigating shell companies and like their connection to Fisk. It's something close. I think it might be a mistake. Like, I feel like this.
Oh, he gonna be mad.
This seems real dangerous to me.
Oh, she's gonna get in real trouble.
Yeah,
I know.
Like when he finds out somebody has been visiting his mom.
Yeah.
If she goes back again, because in theory this is at least the second time that she's been there.
I mean, they might as well just take a bucket of blue paint and put it on that white painting, because like that's what they're doing. They're getting at Fisk, like, as personal as they can.
Yeah, they might as well just take a long metal stick and just break that, like, cut that painting in half.
Leslie makes a good point in chat. Ben wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for Karen, because do you guys remember the mob guy, how he was like, now they killed the guy and his wife. Like, he has that, like, old school kind of mentality, like, why you gotta go mess with his mom?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's obviously an integral part of the story.
That's true.
No, but that scene is there for a reason, to set up, like, his knowledge of, like, this is a dangerous world.
Yeah.
Like they could go after his wife. Like,
especially now that Vanessa is poisoned and she's kind of like this stability for Fisk.
Oh, he's gonna go.
So like the two strong female influences, and we see that Fisk is like so influenced by his mom. So like those two strong female influences are now like being threatened. Like Fisk is, I feel like he's going off the hinge next episode.
I just had a revelation. The costume designers are geniuses.
Yeah.
With Fisk, we always see him wearing a dark suit.
Yeah.
Vanessa is usually wearing something light, very light. Tonight, he's wearing a white shirt. His lightness is starting to show through the darkness.
Sure.
So he's going to go right back, and then the light dies, and he's going to go super dark.
Yeah.
Oh, costume design, I love it.
That's cool.
That's
or
cool.
he adopts the white that she always wore,
and Ascot
comes out in a white suit.
Oh
purple shirt, Ascot.
Are you guys bummed she's gone? I feel like she was only there for such a short time. I wanted to see more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
but that's exactly why she was killed at the height of her being the most interesting.
But I don't think this was an instance of fridging the girlfriend. Like, I think she was more important to the story than dying. Like, I think she really brought something into Fisk and gave him power. Like, I don't think she was like a plot point to die. I also think it's not confirmed. Like, we don't know if she's dead. It could be like one of those poisons that puts you.
That's hope talking.
Well, speaking of which,
your body in shock, and then like there's like a chance.
Yeah, there's a chance. We didn't. It's Marvel. We didn't. If you didn't see the body, and even if you saw the body,
sometimes
they still might come back.
Life model decoy Vanessa.
Yeah. What with that in mind? Let's do a quick one each predictions round.
Okay.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, Jamie, what are you thinking? Predictions for next week.
I think there has to be some kind of resolution between Foggy and Matt, and Karen's going to be involved in that. I also think it's going to be a lot more action-packed than this week. I think that there has to be some kind of altercation with somebody. I feel like we were missing that this episode, so I think that's going to happen next episode.
All right. Jesse Klein.
We're going to get zombie Nobu. That's all I want. I want a zombie ninja Nobu, like out of nowhere in this legal crime drama. Zombie ninja Nobu.
Mark?
Perfect. I think Foggy in his haze is going to see something about the man in the black mask on TV, and he's going to go, oh crap, Matt's in trouble, I got to go help him. And he'll either go back to his house or the law office, or he'll try to find him on the street and help him.
Cool.
Bat in hand.
I like all of these. I think that, I don't know if it's going to be next episode, but at some point soon, Karen is going to be doing something, meeting with Mama Fisk. And Wilson is just going to happen to be coming to visit at that moment, or he's either going to see her leaving the room, or she's just be straight up in there, and he's going to know who she is, because remember that they have a connection through the whole first episode.
Well, that old guy talked about how she was such a pretty woman. Like, that guy could just describe her and
just identify her.
And like, we know that Wesley has like intimate knowledge of her. So like, just through that, just not that intimate, but like is very familiar with who she is, and like just by that description, I bet Wesley could connect the two.
Yeah,
and like
possible.
Like there have to be repercussions for her.
Yeah.
Can we quickly do the last Easter eggs that were in there that nobody really said? We can talk about is it Roxanne?
Yeah, Roxanne.
Yeah, Roxanne Oil.
They talked about Roxanne Oil when they were interning at Zachman and Land. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, this is a company that was in Agent Carter. It was in one of the Iron Man movies.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then the Owsley mentions Richmond. It could mean Kyle Richmond. I'm kind of stretching, but Nighthawk. That could happen. And then also the senator, Randolph, what was his last name?
It's Cherry.
Randolph Cherry was a senator, and he was a corrupt politician, and basically he became mayor, and in the comic books, he was dethroned.
He's kind of like a staple of New York Marvel.
Just one of those random, like, hey, there's that guy over there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for this review here of Daredevil at AfterBuzz TV. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week with episode 11.
Almost.
Until then, Jamie Elias, where can the people keep up with you?
Hey guys, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jamie, JamiesElias.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
Perfect.
Mark Donica.
Really quickly, we're working on a contest to give away something from Sincere Carpentry, a fan of the show. It's going to be a Daredevil flask. You can go on his website and see what it looks like. We're working on the rules right now. We'll announce it next time, but we'll give it away by the last show.
Yeah, be sure to tune in.
And you can follow me on Twitter at SoapboxMark.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. We'll be back next week with episode 11, The Path of the Righteous. I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.